If you are a person who stays tuned to the news, if you're able to do that day in and day out in the last few weeks, then my hat is off to you. But it has been tough to find things to in the news to laugh about lately. Here is one, though. Apparently, some Mi'kmaq speakers have been struggling to wrap their heads around all the concerns surrounding COVID. Bernie Francis is here to explain why. Gwe Nida, Bernie.
Gwe.
Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It is good to hear your voice again.
Well, it's good to hear your voice too, and it's good to hear everyone else's, considering all that's been going on here.
Oh, it's been crazy days.
Oh, terrible. Yeah.
Tell me, Bernie, what's the confusion for Mi'kmaq speakers over the word COVID?
Well, what happened was I got a call from a lady on another matter. This lady is from the Eskizoni Reserve, which is, for those who don't know, it's just outside of Sydney, about 30 miles on the old number 4 highway. It's next to East Bay, you know? Mm-hmm. And that reserve has probably the biggest population of Mi'kmaq people of any reserve in the world. So we make a big thing of that, you know. Mm-hmm. There's about population is about 5,000 people. And I got a call. Sometimes I get calls from different provinces, and sometimes in Nova Scotia too, where people call to ask me about some word they might have discovered, its origin. They call it etymology. You know, you figure out exactly how it originated, because we do have some old words in Mi'kmaq, which are French and Portuguese and Spanish, and we even have some Basque words, you know. Mm-hmm. So this lady called me on something or other the other day, and when we finished discussing it, she asked me, she sounded very concerned over the phone, and she said to me, Bernie, what is this gobit that's kicking around here and causing all kinds of problems, making people sick and so on? I said, pardon me? And she said, yeah, it sounds like a gobit is around here, and he's infecting people and so on. I said, really? I said, I never heard of that. Oh, my God, you must have heard of it, she said. Surely you must have heard it on the radio, it's on TV, and so on. And I said, gee, no, I don't think so. I said, what's happening to people? So she began to tell me about they had to, you know, put blockades in Eskizoni, you know, put a curfew down and so many other things. And then finally, as she talked, I began to realize, you know, the word COVID, COVID. Well, there's no V in the Mi'kmaq language. Right. So when elders speak, when they listen to English, what they hear is kind of like an unaspirated P, or let's say a B, to make things simple. So, and the C would be like more like I guess you could say a soft K. So she was saying COVID, but using the Mi'kmaq pronunciation gobit, which means a beaver, like a big beaver.
So her question to you is, what is this beaver that's going around making
everybody's sick? I started to clue in after some time, and I said, I think I know what you're talking about. I said, yeah. I said, it's not it's not a beaver. I can assure you of that. It's this little bug, as we call the bugs, you know. I explained everything to her, and she said, I thought it was one of those, we've never had them in a long time, those giant beavers. I said, no, it's not a beaver, I can assure you. A beaver would never get inside your nostrils or your mouth and
I don't know, you go lungs, back, you know? But Bernie, if you go back to the bubonic plague, right, it was rats.
Yes, exactly.
So, rodents.
Yeah. It's just that they didn't get into your bodies.
Fair enough. Yeah. That is funny. Lost in translation, huh?
Yeah, lost in translation. So now it kind of caught on. So people now say the rest of them. Everybody. It's not a laughing thing anymore. No. People just say "gobit" as a matter of a new word or something meaning something entirely different than a beaver.
Oh, it's a gobit.
It's just a gobit, yeah.
You know what? Should I start referring to it as Beaver 19? in the coverage here?
You can, of course. People would get a charge out of that. I'm sure my people will anyway, because that's the way they do. They do play with language, but this woman was not playing. She was quite serious.
She just missed it because of the different phonemes.
Yes, exactly. So she thought it was there's some strange beaver kicking around and causing all these problems with health, So,
well, it's thankfully, no, the beavers, not in this case.
No.
We can't blame them for this.
No, we can't blame the beavers, that's for sure.
Listen, Bernie, back in December, it seems like 20 years ago, but in December, you and I were talking about seasons and months or moons. And is month and moon, is that the same thing in Mi'kmaq?
It's a similar thing.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And in that
the only difference, Jeff, I will tell you, is that we have a 13th moon. That's the difference. But it's no longer used anymore. We generally use the calendar that everybody's using.
Okay. In our conversation, though, back in December, we only actually got to April.
Yes.
So can we pick it up from there, since we are in the moon of May now?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, May is there's two variations. One, it starts with a TQO, and it would be to or tolch. And you put egoos on the end of it, and you get your frog moon or frog croaking moon. And the other variation, of course, is skolchugus. It's not TQ, but it's an SQO. So that's no big deal. That's just a dialectal variation. However, it does mean it's the time of the year when people begin to hear the peepers, as well as the big bullfrogs, talking to one another. And people like myself will go a distance and just sit by a pond, such as the one by the airport. There's a small pond by the Quality Inn, I believe it's called. There's a good-sized pond there, and I just sit there sometime and listen to the frogs talking, and it's absolutely amazing to me and to my people this time of the year, because they're usually indicative of the fact that summer's not that far away, so we're about to get some summer heat. So they bring a lot of joy and a lot of memories to people.
There is something really magical about them. This is my first spring back here. I arrived here in June of last year. And so this is, and my wife is from South America, so this is her first May in Nova Scotia. And she, a couple of weeks ago, we heard the deep, 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 deep. And she's like, "Is that crickets? What is that?" And I said, "No, those are spring peepers." And since then, she has fallen in love with them. So when we're driving along, and it's also now we can roll down the windows in the evening in the car, you drive along and you go past, like where I live, there's ditches. And in some of those ditches, there will be like the cattails and little marshes, and you can hear them cheep, 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 cheep.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me again, the moon, the month of the frog. How do you say it?
So yes, they call it Skolchuigus.
Say that again.
Okay. Skolchuigus.
Skolchuigus.
That's pretty good, exactly.
Skolchuigus.
And so that the igus part means moon, right?
Uh-huh.
And the word skolch is the word for frog. And it's one of these words that they call an onomatopoeic word.
Uh-huh.
In other words, the animal is named according to approximately what it sounds like. So if you repeat the word enough times, you say skolch, skolch, skolch.
Skolch,
It does kind of sound like a
bullfrog.
It does kind of sound like a frog,
Skolchuigus.
So, skolchuigus, exactly. Yeah. So it's the frog croaking month, as they call it.
Beautiful. What about June?
June is, our word for summer, first of all, is nibbanigus. And the nibbin part comes from the word nipk, which means summer. And it also, literally, it has to do with the leaves that are sprouting, you see. So when you say nibbin igus, it does mean, I guess you could say the leafy month or the leafy moon.
Nippinigus.
Yeah. Nibanigus.
Nibinigus.
Right, exactly. That's the month of June.
That's my birth month. Nibinigus.
Oh, well, there you don't forget this one then.
No, I won't. I've made a star by it.
Yeah,
Nibinigus.
exactly, yeah. And then, of course, the month of July, that's kind of interesting for people who have pets in their homes. The first thing I say when they're buying a pet, they try to ensure that they'll get a pet that doesn't shed. Well, most animals shed, right? So
Yes.
So July works perfectly with that because even the wild animals shed, and they call it Beskewigus. And when something is besquia or besque, that's the part that means shedding, So it's a shedding moon.
Besquiagus.
So as you can hear the igus again there.
Yeah. Besquiagus.
Beskewigus.
Beskewigus.
Perfect. That's perfect. Yes, and so I think we all experience our
yes.
little cats and dogs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, to try to keep up with the hair around, is not an easy job sometimes.
With the Besque.
Yes, exactly. So that's everybody, of course. It's that time of year, of course, the animals, humans do it. I mean, we get rid of our jackets, and all the heavy clothing. And so they have to do it a different way, namely to start shedding.
And what about August, Bernie?
August is also a very exciting month because even though that the Mi'kmaq people were not farmers, mostly we're hunters, gatherers, hunt for big animals, or fishing is probably the biggest thing that we actually involve the Mi'kmaq people. But it is called the harvest moon because it's a great time of the year to go for your raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, and blueberries, all this stuff that they could actually save for the winter months. When it gets cold and food is not that easy to get, so they prepare. So August is being the harvest moon, not because that they were that they drove these combines harvesting.
Right,
they just went out and they picked it by hand, picked all of these berries by hand. And sometimes people used strawberries, and not strawberries so much, but blackberries and raspberries and they would mix them in with their dough while they're making bread or so on, So
Oh,
you get
that sounds
really
good.
nice, really nice bread, yeah. So that's our August.
And say it again, can you?
Gisach-a-wigus.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Gisach Erigus.
Right. Because when something is gisahaliach, shall we say, it means it's finished growing. So for all intents and purposes, I suppose you could say the month where everything is finished growing, and it's just a matter of picking it now. So it's a very exciting month because people go out. I still remember doing those things as a kid. And everybody would, you'd take a lunch. The breads that were made by mostly women, sometimes men too, and we'd take them out with our cold tea because we didn't have thermoses.
Yeah.
And this is our lunch while we pick blueberries all day or strawberries or whatever happened to be going,
Yeah.
And that still happens, and people love the fresh. They love them, but not only that. If you go to a grocery store and try to buy a little small box of blueberries, it'll cost you over $5. So it's much more economical to go to the forest and get them yourself.
It is, but you pay in the sweat equity. It sounds like they were wonderful days, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Bernie, thank you so much. It's so good to hear your voice, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff, and I'm very, very happy to continue. We'll continue on if we can,
We will.
And hopefully, people will come out of this bigger and better.
They will. They will. The Go Beat can't beat us.
No, that's right. We'll have to contain that Go Beat.
We will. We'll set a trap for the beaver. Bernie, thank you, sir.
Cage.
Take care, my friend.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and have a great day.
Okay. Welalin.
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bernie Francis is a linguist and a Mi'kmaq elder.